Laura Martinez's mop bucket clattered against the marble floor of the corporate tower at 11 p.m., the sound echoing through empty hallways that during the day buzzed with million-dollar deals. She had no idea that sharing 2 slices of cold pizza with a quiet teenager would lead to a phone call that would change everything. She didn't know this boy wasn't just another janitor's kid killing time after school. She didn't know he was secretly watching every employee in the building, searching for something rare in the corporate world genuine per bad. Kindness. As she handed him that pizza with a tired smile, one question hung in the air like the scent of cleaning chemicals. Could a simple act of generosity from someone with so little transform the life of someone who had everything? Before we carry on, please hit the subscribe button for more real, emotional, life-changing stories like this, and let me know where you are watching from in the comments. The fluorescent lights hung overhead as Laura pushed her cleaning cart down the 16th floor of Meridian Financial Tower, her rubber-soled shoes squeaking softly against the polished tiles. It was past midnight on a Tuesday, and the building felt like a ghost town, save for the occasional security guard making rounds and the distant hum of computers left running overnight. Laura had been cleaning office buildings for 3 years now, ever since her divorce left her scrambling to support herself and her 8-year-old daughter Maya. The night shift paid better than day work, and it meant she could be home when Maya got ready for school each morning, though it also meant surviving on 4 hours of sleep and gallons of coffee. She paused at the break room on the 16th floor, the same routine she followed every night. Empty the trash cans, wipe down the tables, clean the microwave, and restock the paper towels. Tonight, however, she noticed someone had left behind a half-eaten pizza in one of the conference rooms. The box sat abandoned on the long mahogany table, surrounded by empty coffee cups and scattered papers from what looked like a late meeting. Laura knew the protocol was to throw away leftover food, but something about the waste bothered her. Back home, she and Maya often split a single frozen dinner, stretching every dollar until her next paycheck. As she reached for the pizza box, planning to toss it in the garbage, she heard footsteps in the hallway. Laura turned to see a teenager, maybe 16 or 17 years old, walking slowly past the conference room. He was tall and lean, with dark hair that fell across his forehead and clothes that looked expensive but understated. She had seen him around the building a few times over the past month, always late at night, always alone. Laura assumed he was the son of one of the janitors, maybe helping his parent finish up their shift to earn some extra money. She knew how that felt, the weight of responsibility that fell on young shoulders when families struggled to make ends meet. "Hey," Laura called out softly, not wanting to startle him. The boy stopped and looked toward her with curious brown eyes. "You hungry? Someone left this whole pizza behind, and it seems like such a waste to throw it out." The teenager hesitated in the doorway, glancing around as if making sure they were alone. "Are you sure? I don't want to get you in trouble." Laura smiled, the first genuine smile she had managed all day. "Trust me, honey, throwing away perfectly good food would get me in more trouble with my conscience than sharing it ever could. Besides, you look like you could use a good meal." She opened the pizza box to reveal 4 remaining slices of pepperoni and mushroom pizza, still looking relatively fresh despite sitting out for a few hours. Laura grabbed a paper plate from the break room and served up 2 slices, pushing them across the table toward the boy. "I'm Laura, by the way. Laura Martinez." "I'm Alex," the boy said after a slight pause, accepting the plate with what looked like genuine gratitude. "Alex Chen. Thank you, really. I haven't eaten since lunch." Laura served herself the remaining 2 slices and sat down across from Alex, noting how he ate with careful politeness despite his obvious hunger. There was something refined about his mannerisms, the way he used his napkin and chewed quietly, that seemed at odds with her assumption about his circumstances. Maybe his family had fallen on hard times recently, she thought. Pride could be a powerful thing, making people maintain appearances even when struggling. "So, what brings you here so late?" Laura asked, genuinely curious about this polite young man who seemed as out of place in the empty office building as she sometimes felt. Alex swallowed his bite of pizza carefully before answering. "I'm doing a project for school, kind of like observational research, studying how different people approach their work when they think nobody's watching." Laura nodded, impressed by his dedication. That sounds like a smart assignment. You must go to a good school to have teachers who give projects like that. Something like that, Alex replied, and Laura noticed he seemed to choose his words carefully. What about you? How long have you been working here? 3 years this December, Laura said, surprised by how comfortable she felt talking to this teenager. There was something about his genuine interest and respectful demeanor that reminded her of Maya, who also had a way of asking thoughtful questions that made adults want to share their stories. It's not glamorous work, but it pays the bills and gives me flexibility with my daughter's schedule. She's 8, and she's the whole world to me. Alex's expression softened. What's her name? Maya. She wants to be a veterinarian when she grows up. Smart as a whip, that girl. The college is expensive. Laura caught herself oversharing and smiled sheepishly. Sorry, I don't usually talk people's ears off like this. There's something about the quiet of these late-night shifts that makes you either want to talk or go crazy from the silence. Don't apologize, Alex said. Dow. Quickly. I like hearing about people's real lives. It's refreshing. He paused, seeming to weigh his next words. Your daughter is lucky to have a mom who works so hard for her dreams. Laura felt a warmth spread through her chest at the compliment. Well, I hope she sees it that way someday. Right now she mostly sees a mom who's always tired and falls asleep during movie nights. She laughed, but there was a note of sadness in it that Alex seemed to pick up on. I think kids understand more than we give them credit for, Alex said thoughtfully. Even when they can't express it, they know when someone is sacrificing for them. They finished their impromptu meal in comfortable conversation, Laura sharing stories about Maya's latest school projects, and Alex asking thoughtful follow-up questions that showed he was genuinely listening. When they were done, Laura packed up the empty pizza box and paper plates, returning the conference room to its pristine state. Thank you for the pizza, Alex said as they prepared to part ways. And for the conversation. It meant more than you know. Laura waved off his thanks. Anytime, honey. We all need a little kindness in this world, especially during the late-night hours when everything feels harder than it should. As Alex walked away, Laura couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to him than met the eye. Something about the way he carried himself, the quality of his clothes, and the thoughtful way he spoke suggested a background that didn't quite match her assumption about him being a janitor's kid. But she had learned not to judge people's circumstances by appearances. Life had a way of humbling everyone eventually, and kindness cost nothing regardless of someone's story. Over the following weeks, Laura encountered Alex several more times during her night shifts. He always appeared around the same time, usually between midnight and 1 in the morning, walking the halls with purpose but never seeming to be in a hurry to get anywhere specific. Their conversations became a highlight of Laura's long nights, a brief respite from the solitude and repetitive nature of her work. Alex proved to be an excellent listener, asking about Maya's progress in school and remembering details from their previous conversations that touched Laura's heart. He told her about his own studies, though he remained vague about which school he attended and what exactly his research project entailed. Laura respected his privacy, understanding that teenagers often felt the need to keep certain aspects of their lives compartmentalized. During one particularly difficult week, when Maya came down with the flu and Laura had to juggle caring for her sick daughter with maintaining her work schedule, Alex noticed the exhaustion written across her face. Without being asked, he helped her move some of the heavier equipment and even tackled a few of the more physically demanding cleaning tasks while they talked. Laura protested at first, worried about getting him in trouble, but Alex insisted with a maturity that continued to surprise her. Everyone needs help sometimes, he said simply as he effortlessly lifted a stack of chairs that Laura had been dreading. Besides, I'm learning a lot watching how you approach your work. You take pride in every detail, even when nobody's around to notice. Laura felt a flush of pride at his observation. She did take her work seriously, treating each office space with the same respect she would want for her own home. My mama always taught me that how you do anything is how you do everything, she said. Whether you're cleaning toilets or running a company, doing your best is a reflection of who you are inside. Alex nodded thoughtfully, filing away her words with the same careful attention he gave to everything she said. That's a philosophy more people should live by. As November stretched into December, Laura began to look forward to these late-night encounters with increasing anticipation. Alex had become more than just a friendly face. During her solitary work hours, he had become someone she genuinely cared about. She found herself saving interesting stories about Maya to share with him, and she noticed that her steps felt lighter on the nights when she spotted him in the hallways. One evening in mid-December, Alex seemed more subdued than usual. When Laura asked if everything was okay, he hesitated before answering. "I've been thinking a lot about fairness lately," he said, sitting on the edge of a desk in one of the executive offices Laura was cleaning. "About how some people work incredibly hard their whole lives and barely get by, while others have everything handed to them without ever proving they deserve it." Laura paused in her dusting, recognizing the weight behind his words. "That's a heavy thing for someone your age to be wrestling with." "Maybe," Alex said. "But I think it's important to wrestle with it, to figure out what you're going to do with whatever advantages you've been given." Laura set down her cleaning supplies and gave Alex her full attention. "Sounds like you're carrying some guilt about something." Alex looked up at her with those thoughtful brown eyes, and for a moment, Laura saw something much older than his teenage years reflected there. "What would you do if you had the power to change someone's life for the better? Like, really change it, not just in small ways." "Honestly?" Laura considered the question seriously. "I think I'd be terrified of messing it up. That kind of responsibility would keep me awake at night, wondering if I was making the right choices for the right reasons." "What if you knew the person deserved it? What if you'd watched them long enough to see their character when they thought nobody was looking?" Laura studied Alex's face, sensing layers to his question that she couldn't quite grasp. "Then I guess I'd try to help in a way that honored their dignity. Nobody wants to feel like charity case, even when they desperately need help." Alex nodded slowly, seeming to file away her response with the same careful attention he paid to all their conversations. "You're a wise woman, Laura Martinez." "I'm a tired woman who's made plenty of mistakes," Laura corrected with a gentle laugh. "But I've learned that treating people with respect and kindness is never a mistake, even when the rest of your choices turn out wrong." Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of Laura's phone buzzing with a text message. She glanced at it quickly, expecting the usual automated reminder about her work schedule, but instead saw a message from Maya's school nurse. Maya had thrown up during the after-school program and needed to be picked up immediately. "Oh no," Laura muttered, grabbing her cleaning supplies with practiced efficiency. "Alex, I'm so sorry, but I have to go. My daughter is sick at school." "Of course," Alex said, immediately moving to help her pack up her cart. "Is there anything I can do?" Laura was touched by his offer, but shook her head as she hurried toward the elevator. "Thank you, honey, but I've got it handled. This is just part of being a mom." As the elevator doors closed, Laura saw Alex standing in the hallway watching her leave, and something about his expression stuck with her during the frantic drive to Maya's school. There had been concern there, genuine worry for both her and Maya, but also something else. Something that looked almost like determination. Maya recovered from her stomach bug within a few days, but the incident meant Laura had to use one of her precious sick days and work extra hours the following week to make up for lost time. She didn't see Alex during those busy nights, and she found herself missing their conversations more than she expected. It was during the first week of January when everything changed. Laura was cleaning the executive conference room on the top floor, a space she only accessed once a week for deep cleaning, when her phone rang with a number she didn't recognize. She almost let it go to voicemail, but something made her answer. "Ms. Martinez? This is Jennifer Walsh from Meridian Financial. I'm calling to request that you come in for a meeting with building management tomorrow at 2 p.m. Laura's stomach dropped. In her experience, unexpected meetings with management rarely meant good news. "Is there a problem with my work?" "Not at all, Ms. Martinez. This is regarding a special opportunity. Can you make it tomorrow afternoon?" Laura's mind raced, calculating whether she could arrange for Maya's after-school care and wondering what kind of opportunity would require a formal meeting. "Yes, I can be there. Should I bring anything?" "Just yourself. Someone will meet you in the main lobby at 2 o'clock sharp." Laura spent the next 24 hours alternating between anxiety and curiosity. She dropped Maya off at school with extra snacks and detailed instructions for the neighbor who had agreed to watch her, then spent longer than usual getting ready for the meeting. She owned exactly one professional outfit, a navy blue dress and matching blazer she had bought for her divorce proceedings 3 years earlier, and she hoped it still looked appropriate. The main lobby of Meridian Financial Tower looked different during the day, bustling with employees in expensive suits and filled with the kind of energy that only came with serious money changing hands. Laura felt underdressed despite her best efforts, but she straightened her shoulders and approached the reception desk with as much confidence as she could muster. "I'm Laura Martinez. I have a 2 o'clock meeting with building management." The receptionist, a polished woman in her 30s with perfectly styled blonde hair, smiled warmly. "Of course, Ms. Martinez. Please have a seat, and someone will be with you shortly." Laura settled into one of the leather chairs in the waiting area, trying not to fidget with her purse strap as she watched important-looking people stride purposefully across the marble floors. She checked her phone for the 3rd time in 5 minutes when she heard her name called. "Ms. Martinez?" Laura looked up to see a well-dressed woman in her 40s approaching with a warm smile. "I'm Jennifer Walsh. We spoke on the phone. Thank you for coming in today." "Thank you for the opportunity," Laura replied, though she still had no idea what the opportunity entailed. Jennifer led her to a bank of elevators Laura had never used, the ones that required a special key card to access the upper floors. "We're going up to the executive level today. I hope you don't mind heights." Laura's anxiety ratcheted up another notch as they rose smoothly to the 30th floor. The executive level was a world away from the spaces she cleaned, all floor-to-ceiling windows with breathtaking views of the city and furniture that probably cost more than she made in a year. "Right this way," Jennifer said, leading Laura down a hallway lined with abstract art and into a spacious conference room with a massive table surrounded by leather chairs that looked like they belonged in a boardroom on trial. Television. "Please, have a seat anywhere you'd like," Jennifer said, gesturing to the chairs. "Our CEO will be joining us in just a moment." Laura chose a chair roughly in the middle of the table, trying to project calm competence while her heart hammered against her ribs. She had never been in trouble at work before, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was about to be fired for some infraction she wasn't even aware of committing. The door opened again, and Laura looked up expecting to see an older executive in an expensive suit. Instead, Alex Chen walked into the room, but this Alex looked different. Gone were the casual clothes and slightly messy hair. This Alex wore a perfectly tailored charcoal suit and carried himself with quiet authority that transformed his entire presence. Laura's mouth fell open as the pieces began clicking into place. "Alex?" "Hello, Laura," he said, his voice carrying the same warmth she remembered but now layered with something she couldn't quite identify. "I'm sorry for the deception. My full name is Alexander Chen, and I'm the CEO of Meridian Financial." Laura felt the world shift beneath her feet. The quiet teenager she had shared pizza with, the young man she had worried about and cared for, was the head of one of the city's most successful investment firms. "I don't understand." Alex took the seat directly across from her, his brown eyes holding the same gentleness she remembered despite the formal setting. "My father founded this company 30 years ago. When he passed away last year, I inherited not just his business, but also his philosophy about the importance of character and leadership." Jennifer Walsh, who had been standing quietly by the door, moved to sit beside Alex. "Alexander has been conducting what we call character assessments of all our employees and contractors. He spends time observing how people behave when they believe no one important is watching." "You were studying me," Laura said slowly, the full implications beginning to dawn on her. "All those conversations, all that time." "No," Alex said firmly, leaning forward across the table. "Laura, I want to be very clear about this. Yes, I initially encountered you as part of my assessment process. But our friendship became real very quickly. The conversations we had, the pizza we shared, the way you helped me think through difficult questions, none of that was research. That was just two people connecting." Laura felt a mix of emotions washing over her: confusion, embarrassment, hurt, and something that might have been relief. "But you lied to me about who you were." "I did," Alex admitted without making excuses. "And I'm sorry for that deception. But I need you to understand why I did it. In my position, I never get to see how people really are. Everyone I meet knows exactly who I am and what I can do for them. They tell me what they think I want to hear, not what they really think." Jennifer opened a folder she had placed on the table and slid a photograph across to Laura. It showed her from several weeks ago, helping Alex move chairs in one of the offices while they talked. "Alexander has been documenting character traits in employees throughout the building. What he found in you was extraordinary." Laura studied the photograph, remembering that night when Alex had seemed particularly tired and she had shared her mother's wisdom about taking pride in work regardless of who was watching. "What exactly did you find?" Alex answered for himself. "I found someone who treats every task with dignity and respect. Someone who shares food with a hungry stranger without knowing anything about their circumstances. Someone who talks about their daughter's dreams with more pride than most people show for their greatest accomplishments." End quote. "You found someone who was kind to a person she thought couldn't do anything for her," Jennifer added. "That's remarkably rare in our world." Laura felt tears threatening but fought them back. "So what happens now? Are you firing me? Promoting me? I still don't understand why I'm here." Alex reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope, placing it on the table between them. "Laura, I'd like to offer you a position as Director of Facilities Management for all Meridian Financial Properties. It would mean overseeing cleaning and maintenance contracts for our entire portfolio, working regular business hours, and earning a salary that would allow you to provide for Maya without working multiple jobs." Laura stared at the envelope as if it might explode. "I don't have any management experience. I'm a night janitor with a high school diploma." "You have something more valuable than formal credentials," Alex said. "You have integrity, work ethic, and natural leadership abilities. Jennifer has developed a comprehensive training program that would prepare you for the role over the next 6 months, and you have full support from our Belma existing management team." Jennifer slid another document across the table. "We're also prepared to offer a full scholarship for Maya to attend Riverside Academy, one of the city's top private schools, with guaranteed college preparation and placement assistance." Laura's hands shook as she reached for the scholarship information. Riverside Academy was the kind of school she had dreamed of for Maya, but never dared to hope for. "I can't accept this. It's too much. I don't deserve—" "Stop," Alex said gently, but firmly. "Laura, this isn't charity. This is recognition of value. Over the past few months, I've watched dozens of employees in this building. I've seen people who cut corners when they think no one is looking, people who treat service workers with disrespect, people who prioritize appearance over substance. You're different." Laura looked up at Alex, seeing not the teenager she had befriended, but the young CEO who was offering to change her entire life. "Why? Why me, really?" Alex was quiet for a long moment, seeming to choose his words carefully. "Because you shared your pizza with someone you thought had nothing. Because you asked about my well-being without knowing my name. Because when I asked you about fairness and responsibility, you gave me answers that showed you understand both the weight of power and the importance of dignity. And because," Jennifer added with a smile, "when Alexander described his interactions with you to our board of directors, 3 of them said they wished they had employees with your character working directly for them." Laura felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of what was being offered. A salary that would mean never again choosing between Maya's school supplies and groceries. An education for her daughter that would open doors Laura had never even dreamed of. A chance to use her work ethic and natural organizational skills in a role that mattered. But along with the excitement came fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, fear of somehow letting down the people who were willing to take such a big chance on her. "Can I have some time to think about it?" Laura asked. "Of course," Alex said immediately. "Take as long as you need. But Laura, I want you to know that this offer isn't going anywhere. We believe in you, and we're willing to invest in your success for the long term." As Laura stood to leave, Clutching the envelope with her job offer and Maya's scholarship information, Alex stood as well. For a moment, the CEO disappeared, and Laura saw glimpses of the young man she had come to care about during those late-night conversations. "Laura," he said quietly, "I hope you can forgive me for not being honest about who I was from the beginning. Our friendship meant a lot to me, and I'd hate to lose that because of how this all came about." Laura studied his face, seeing genuine concern there along with hope. Despite the shock and confusion of the last hour, she found herself smiling. "Alex, honey, if you think a little thing like finding out you're rich and powerful is going to scare me off, you don't know me very well yet." Relief flooded Alex's features. "So, we're okay?" "We're okay," Laura confirmed. "Though, I might need some time to adjust to calling you Mr. Chen in front of other people." "Just Alex is fine," he said with the first genuine smile she had seen from him since walking into the conference room. "It always has been." Laura spent the evening reading through the job description and scholarship materials, while Maya worked on homework at the kitchen table. The position offered not just financial security, but genuine responsibility, and the chance to make meaningful improvements in the lives of the cleaning and maintenance staff throughout Meridian Financial's properties. The scholarship for Maya was even more comprehensive than Laura had initially realized. In addition to full tuition at Riverside Academy, it included funding for extracurricular activities, summer enrichment programs, and college preparation services. Maya could pursue her dream of becoming a veterinarian without the financial constraints that had seemed insurmountable just that morning. "Mom, you're reading those papers really intensely," Maya observed, looking up from her math homework. "Is everything okay?" Laura set down the scholarship packet and really looked at her daughter. Maya had inherited Laura's dark eyes and her father's stubborn chin, but she had developed her own unique blend of curiosity and determination that never failed to amaze Laura. At 8 years old, Maya already showed signs of the kind of thoughtful intelligence that could take her anywhere she wanted to go, if she had the right opportunities. "Baby, how would you feel about maybe going to a different school? A really good school with small classes and lots of opportunities to learn about animals and science?" Maya's eyes lit up with interest. "What kind of school?" Laura spent the next hour explaining the opportunity in terms Maya could understand. Watching her daughter's excitement build as she grasped the implications of what was being offered. Maya's questions were thoughtful and practical, the same qualities Laura had admired in Alex during their late-night conversations. "So the man you were sharing pizza with is actually really important, and he wants to help us because you were nice to him?" "It's a little more complicated than that," Laura said, "but yes, that's basically what happened." Maya considered this seriously. "Do you think he's a good person? Like, really good, not just pretending?" Laura thought about all her interactions with Alex, the genuine interest he had shown in her stories about Maya, the respectful way he had treated her even when he thought she was just a night janitor, the careful consideration he gave to questions about fairness and responsibility. "I think he's someone who's trying very hard to be good," Laura said finally. "And I think he's someone who cares about doing the right thing, even when it's difficult." Maya nodded solemnly. "Then I think we should say yes." Laura called Jennifer Walsh the next morning to accept both the job offer and Maya's scholarship. The transition process began immediately, with Laura starting a comprehensive training program that covered everything from contract negotiation to personnel management. She continued her night shift work for the first month while learning her new responsibilities during the day, a schedule that left her exhausted but excited about the future. Alex made a point of checking in with Laura regularly during her training period. But he was careful to maintain appropriate professional boundaries while still preserving the friendship they had developed. He often asked about Maya's adjustment to her new school and seemed genuinely invested in both their successes. Riverside Academy proved to be everything Laura had hoped for Maya and more. The teachers were passionate and dedicated. The facilities were state-of-the-art, and Maya thrived in an environment where her curiosity was encouraged and her academic potential could be fully developed. Within her first month, Maya was participating in an advanced science program and had joined the school's environmental club. Laura's new role came with challenges she had never anticipated, managing contracts with dozens of service grass providers, coordinating maintenance schedules across multiple buildings, and supervising a team of supervisors required skills she had never needed as a night janitor. But the same attention to detail, end quote, strong work ethic that had made her excellent at cleaning offices served her well in her management role. 6 months into her new position, Laura was reviewing quarterly reports in her office when Alex knocked on her door. She still felt a slight shock when she saw him in his CEO role, but the feeling was becoming more familiar and less disorienting. "Do you have a few minutes?" he asked. "I wanted to get your thoughts on the Morrison Building contract renewal." As they discussed the technical details of service agreements and performance metrics, Laura marveled at how naturally their professional relationship had evolved. Alex valued her opinions and insights, and she had grown comfortable offering suggestions and asking questions that helped her better understand the business. "There's something else I wanted to talk to you about," Alex said as they finished reviewing the contract details. "I've been getting feedback from building managers across our portfolio, and they're consistently impressed with the improvements in service quality since you took over facilities management." Laura felt a flush of pride at the compliment. "I've got a good team, and we're all committed to doing excellent work." "It's more than that," Alex said. "You've implemented systems and standards that have improved both efficiency and worker satisfaction. Several of our contractors have asked if you'd be willing to consult on their other accounts. Is that something you'd be supportive of?" Laura asked, uncertain about the protocol for outside consulting work. "Absolutely, as long as it doesn't interfere with your responsibilities here. In fact, I think it could be beneficial for you to develop that expertise. There's a real market for the kind of thoughtful management approach you've developed." Their conversation was interrupted by Laura's phone buzzing with a text from Maya's school. Laura glanced at it quickly, expecting a routine update, but instead saw a message about Maya being selected for a Regional B science competition. "Good news?" Alex asked, noticing Laura's smile. "Maya made it into a science competition. She's going to present her project on urban wildlife conservation to judges from 3 different universities." Alex's face lit up with genuine pleasure. "That's fantastic. What's her project about?" Laura found herself sharing details about Maya's research into how cities could modify their landscaping to better support local wildlife populations. And Alex listened with the same thoughtful attention he had always given to her stories about her daughter. "She sounds like she has the makings of an excellent scientist," Alex said. "Has she given any thought to what she wants to study in college?" "She's still set on veterinary school, but now she's talking about specializing in wildlife conservation. Riverside Academy has really opened up her horizons." As Alex prepared to leave, he paused at Laura's office door. "Laura, I want you to know how proud I am of how well you've succeeded in this role. But more than that, I'm grateful for the friendship we developed before any of this happened. It's rare to find people who see you as a person first, regardless of your position or circumstances." Laura looked at this young man who had somehow become both her boss and her friend, and she felt a deep sense of gratitude for the chain of events that had brought them together. "Alex, sharing that pizza with you was one of the best decisions I've ever made, even though I had no idea what I was setting in motion. Sometimes the most important moments in our lives look completely ordinary when they're happening," Alex replied. "Thank you for being kind to a hungry teenager, Laura. It changed both our lives." As winter turned to spring, Laura settled fully into her new life. Maya continued to excel at Riverside Academy, making friends with classmates who shared her academic interests and developing confidence in her abilities that Laura had never seen before. The science competition had gone well, with Maya placing 3rd in her age category and earning recognition from several university representatives. Laura's facilities management work had expanded beyond her original job description, as building owners throughout the city began requesting her consulting services. She had developed a reputation for implementing systems that improved both service quality and worker satisfaction, and she found herself genuinely passionate about the work in ways she had never expected. On a warm evening in May, Laura was working late in her office when Alex stopped by, as had become his occasional habit when he was staying late himself. "How's the Peterson Building consultation going?" he asked, settling into the chair across from her desk. "Better than expected." They're implementing all of our recommendations, and their employee satisfaction scores have improved significantly. Laura saved her work and gave Alex her full attention. I wanted to thank you again for encouraging me to take on the consulting work. It's been incredibly rewarding. You don't need to thank me for recognizing your talents, Alex said. I just created the opportunity. You did all the hard work. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, looking out Laura's office window at the city lights beginning to twinkle in the gathering dusk. It struck Laura how different this scene was from their first meeting in that empty conference room, sharing leftover pizza in the middle of the night. Can I ask you something? Laura said. That night when you asked me about having the power to change someone's life, did you already know what you were planning to do? Alex considered the question thoughtfully. I knew I wanted to help you, but I wasn't sure exactly how. The specific job offer came together over several weeks as I watched how you approached your work and listened to how you talked about Maya's future. And you weren't worried about taking such a big risk on someone with no management experience? Laura, Alex said with a smile, you've been managing your life and Maya's future under impossible circumstances for years. You just hadn't had the opportunity to apply those skills in a professional setting. Laura felt the truth of his words settle into her heart. She had been managing, problem-solving, and leading all along. The new job had simply given her a platform to use those abilities in ways that benefited more than just her small family. There's something I've been wanting to tell you, Laura said. Maya wrote a thank you card for you, but she's been too shy to give it to you directly. She wanted me to tell you that having access to good teachers and laboratory equipment has made her realize that her dreams aren't just fantasies anymore, they're actual goals she can work toward. Alex's expression softened with genuine emotion. Would you tell her that her dreams were never fantasies? She has the intelligence and determination to achieve anything she sets her mind to. The school just gave her better tools to work with. As they prepared to leave for the evening, Alex walked with Laura to the elevator bank they now both used regularly. The executive elevator that had once intimidated Laura now felt familiar. A symbol of how much her life had changed in less than a year. Laura, Alex said as they waited for the elevator, I want you to know that what happened between us, the friendship we built before you knew who I was, that taught me something important about leadership. The best way to understand the people you're responsible for is to see them as individuals first, not just employees or assets. Laura smiled as the elevator doors opened. And you taught me that kindness never goes wasted, even when it seems like the smallest possible gesture. You never know who might need exactly what you're able to give. As Laura drove home that evening, she thought about the chain of small decisions that had led to this moment. Choosing to offer pizza to a hungry teenager instead of throwing it away, taking the time to have genuine conversations with Kao, someone she thought was just another person struggling to get by, treating every interaction with respect and kindness regardless of what she might gain from it. Maya was waiting up for her when she got home. Excited to share news about her acceptance into a summer program at the local zoo that would give her hands-on experience with wildlife conservation work. As Laura listened to her daughter's animated description of the Yi program, she realized that the ripple effects of that simple act of sharing pizza continued to expand in ways she was still discovering. The summer program at the zoo proved to be transformative for Maya, who came home each day with stories about animal behavior, conservation challenges, and the dedicated scientists working to protect endangered species. She developed a particular fascination with urban wildlife adaptation. Building on the research she had started at Riverside Academy, Laura's consulting business continued to grow throughout the summer. With requests coming in from property management companies across 3 states, she had hired 2 part-time assistants to help with the administrative work and was considering whether to formalize her consulting practice as a separate business entity. One afternoon in late July, Alex stopped by Laura's office with an unusual request. I know this might sound strange, but I'm hoping you'd be willing to help me with something personal. Laura looked up from the contract she was reviewing, curious about what kind of personal help a successful CEO might need from her. Of course, if I can. What's going on? My father established a foundation before he died, focused on educational opportunities for underprivileged children. I've been struggling with how to honor his vision while making sure the foundation actually makes a meaningful difference. Alex settled into his usual chair across from her desk. The board keeps proposing traditional approaches, scholarship programs, and building renovations, but I keep thinking about what you said about dignity, respect. Laura set aside her work completely, recognizing the weight behind Alex's request. Tell me more about what your father envisioned. He believed that every child deserved access to quality education regardless of their family's economic circumstances. But he also believed that charity without dignity was ultimately harmful. Alex pulled out a folder containing foundation documents and financial reports. The foundation has significant resources, but I'm not convinced we're using them in ways that would make him proud. Laura spent the next hour reviewing the foundation's current programs and budget allocations, asking questions about outcomes and recipient feedback. What she found was a well-funded organization that was technically successful but lacked the personal touch that made assistance feel empowering rather than patronizing. What if we approached this differently? Laura suggested. Instead of just identifying students who need help, what if we identified students who are already demonstrating exceptional character and work ethic, regardless of their academic performance? Alex leaned forward with interest. How would that work? We could develop a nomination process that focuses on qualities like persistence, kindness, leadership potential, and community involvement. Teachers, coaches, employers, and community leaders could nominate young people who embody the values your father cared about. Laura's excitement grew as she developed the idea. Then we could provide comprehensive support that goes beyond just tuition assistance. What kind of comprehensive support? Mentorship programs that pair foundation recipients with successful professionals in their fields of interest. Life skills workshops that prepare them for the realities of higher education and career development. Internship opportunities that give them real-world experience. Laura paused, remembering her own journey. And ongoing support that doesn't disappear once they graduate. Alex's eyes lit up with genuine enthusiasm. That sounds like something that would actually change lives, not just temporarily ease financial pressure. It would also create a community of foundation alumni who could support each other and eventually give back to future recipients, Laura added, the kind of program that builds on itself over time. They spent the rest of the afternoon developing a proposal for restructuring the foundation's approach, with Laura contributing insights from her own experience, navigating educational and professional challenges without adequate support systems. Alex provided context about the foundation's resources and constraints, and together they crafted a vision that honored his father's memory while addressing real needs in innovative ways. Laura, Alex said as they wrapped up their planning session, would you consider joining the foundation's board of directors? Your perspective and experience would be invaluable in implementing this new approach. Laura felt a familiar flutter of anxiety at the thought of joining a board filled with wealthy, influential people, but she also recognized that her background was exactly what would make her contributions meaningful. I'd be honored to help, but I want to make sure I'm qualified for that level of responsibility. You've been managing a multi-million-dollar facilities budget for months, you've built a successful consulting practice from scratch, and you understand both the challenges and the potential of the people we're trying to help. Alex said firmly. You're not just qualified, you're essential. As autumn approached, Laura found herself juggling her facilities management responsibilities, her growing consulting business, and her new role on the foundation board. The pace was demanding, but she had never felt more energized by her work. Each aspect of her professional life seemed to inform and strengthen the others. Maya started her second year at Riverside Academy with increased confidence and a clear sense of direction. Her summer experience at the zoo had solidified her commitment to wildlife conservation, and she was already researching university programs that would prepare her for graduate work in the field. The Foundation's new approach launched in October with a pilot program in 3 school districts. Instead of focusing solely on academic achievement, the nomination process sought students who demonstrated resilience, compassion, and leadership potential. The response from educators and community leaders was overwhelmingly positive, with many noting that the criteria captured qualities they had long believed were more predictive of success than test scores alone. Laura found herself personally involved in interviewing potential foundation recipients, a responsibility that felt both challenging and deeply meaningful. Each conversation reminded her of her own younger self, full of dreams but uncertain about how to achieve them. One interview in particular stayed with Laura long after it ended. Maria Santos was a 16-year-old whose nomination came from her supervisor at the restaurant where she worked evenings and weekends to help support her family. Maria's grades were solid but not exceptional, but her supervisor described her as the most reliable and hardworking employee he had ever managed. During their conversation, Maria spoke about her dream of becoming a nurse, but she was realistic about the challenges ahead. "I know I'm not the smartest person applying for this," she said with quiet dignity, "but I promise I'll work harder than anyone to make the most of any opportunity I'm given." Laura saw herself in Maria's determination and her willingness to work for her goals without expecting anything to be handed to her. After the interview, Laura made a note in Maria's file that she believed this young woman had exactly the kind of character the foundation was designed to support. When the first cohort of foundation recipients was announced in November, Maria Santos was among the 20 students selected from over 200 nominees. The comprehensive support package included not just tuition assistance, but also mentorship matching, summer internship placements, and ongoing academic and career counseling. Laura volunteered to serve as Maria's mentor, recognizing an opportunity to provide the kind of guidance she wished she had received at that age. Their monthly meetings became a highlight of Laura's schedule, as Maria's questions and insights challenged Laura to think more deeply about her own career development and life choices. During one of their mentoring sessions, Maria asked Laura about the biggest challenges she had faced in transitioning from night janitor to executive. Laura found herself sharing not just the practical difficulties, but also the emotional journey of learning to see herself as someone capable of leadership and success. "The hardest part wasn't learning new skills," Laura explained. "It was learning to believe I deserved the opportunities I was being given. I kept waiting for someone to realize they had made a mistake and send me back to cleaning offices." Maria nodded with understanding. "I feel that way sometimes too. Like maybe I'm not really foundation material and they'll figure out they should have chosen someone else. That feeling is called imposter syndrome," Laura said. "And it's especially common among people who are the first in their families to pursue higher education or professional careers. The key is to remember that you weren't chosen by accident. People saw qualities in you that they believed were worth investing in." As winter approached, Laura reflected on the year that had passed since her life-changing meeting with Alex in the executive conference room. The frightened woman who had worried about being fired had been replaced by someone who was comfortable advocating for her ideas in boardrooms and mentoring young people facing similar challenges to those she had overcome. The facilities management company Laura had been considering formalizing became a reality in December, when she officially launched Martinez Management Solutions with Alex's encouragement and support. Her first major contract was with a regional healthcare system that wanted to implement the worker satisfaction improvements she had pioneered at Meridian Financial. Maya's second-year performance at Riverside Academy exceeded even Laura's optimistic expectations. Her teachers reported that Maya had become a natural leader among her classmates, often helping struggling students and proposing innovative solutions to group projects. Her science fair project on urban pollinator gardens had won first place at the school level and was advancing to regional competition. On a snowy evening in mid-December, exactly 1 year after their first meeting in the executive conference room, Alex invited Laura to join him for dinner at an upscale restaurant downtown. Laura had eaten at places like this a few times since her promotion, but she still felt a sense of wonder at how dramatically her circumstances had changed. "I wanted to celebrate the first anniversary of our official partnership," Alex said as they settled into their table. "And to thank you for everything you've contributed to Meridian Financial and the Foundation." Laura smiled, remembering how nervous she had been exactly 1 year earlier. "I should be thanking you for taking such a big risk on someone with no formal qualifications." "Laura, I need you to stop thinking about yourself as unqualified," Alex said seriously. "You've proven your abilities over and over again. It's time to own your success." As they talked over dinner, Laura found herself sharing her plans for expanding her consulting business and her ideas for enhancing the Foundation's mentorship program. Alex listened with the same thoughtful attention he had always given her ideas, asking questions that helped her think through challenges and opportunities. "There's something I've been wanting to ask you," Laura said as they finished their meal. "Do you ever regret the way we met? The deception, I mean. Do you wish you had just been honest from the beginning?" Alex considered the question carefully. "I regret that I felt the need to hide who I was, but I don't regret the friendship we built during those late-night conversations, getting to know you as a person first. Before you knew anything about my position or resources, that gave me insights into leadership that I never could have gained any other way." "And what insights were those?" "That the best way to understand people is to meet them where they are. Not where you think they should be. That kindness and competence aren't mutually exclusive. That sometimes the most valuable employees are the ones who don't look like traditional candidates for advancement." Alex paused, seeming to gather his thoughts. "And that sharing pizza with someone who has very little can teach you more about character than any formal evaluation process ever could." Laura felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. "Well, I learned something important too, that you never know when a simple act of kindness might change everything, not just for the person you're helping, but for yourself as well." As they prepared to leave the restaurant, Alex handed Laura a small wrapped package. "I wanted to give you something to commemorate this anniversary." Laura opened the package to find a framed photograph of the two of them from the foundation's launch event, with Maya standing between them after the ceremony. All three of them were smiling, and Laura could see the genuine affection and respect in their expressions. "Thank you," Laura said, touched by the thoughtfulness of the gift. "This means more to me than you know." "There's an inscription on the back," Alex said. Laura turned over the frame to read the engraved message. "To Laura, who taught me that the best leaders are those who see the potential in others and aren't afraid to share what they have. Thank you for your friendship and your example. Alex." As Laura drove home that evening, she thought about the conversation she would have with Maya about the anniversary dinner and Alex's gift. Maya had grown comfortable with Alex's presence in their lives, often asking about him and expressing gratitude for the opportunities his support had created. Maya was still awake when Laura got home, working on a research paper about conservation strategies for urban wildlife. Laura shared highlights from the dinner and showed Maya the commemorative photograph. "Mom," Maya said, looking up from her computer, "do you think Mr. Alex knew what would happen when he first talked to you in the building?" Laura considered the question. "I think he hoped something good would come from getting to know the people who worked in his building, but I don't think he could have predicted exactly how things would unfold." "But he must have known you were special," Maya said with the matter-of-fact confidence of a 9-year-old. "Otherwise he wouldn't have wanted to help us." Laura smiled at her daughter's certainty. "I think he recognized that we were people worth getting to know, and that we had dreams worth supporting. But Maya, the most important thing is that we proved we deserved the opportunities we were given." As spring returned, Laura's consulting business continued to expand, with clients in 6 states now implementing her management systems. The Foundation's pilot program had been so successful that Alex was planning to expand it nationally, with Laura playing a key role in developing training materials for other regions. Maya finished her 2nd year at Riverside Academy at the top of her class, with plans to spend the summer in an advanced research program at the State University. Her project on urban pollinator gardens had evolved into a comprehensive study of how cities could modify their green spaces to support both human recreation and wildlife habitat. During one of their regular mentoring sessions, Maria Santos shared news that she had been accepted into a prestigious nursing program with full scholarship support. She credited not just the Foundation's financial assistance, but also the mentorship and life skills training for helping her develop the confidence to pursue her goals aggressively. "Ms. Martinez," Maria said, "I want you to know that watching you build your business while supporting your daughter and helping other people has shown me what's possible when you don't let fear hold you back." Laura felt a deep sense of satisfaction at Maria's words, recognizing that the cycle of mentorship and support was continuing to expand beyond anything she had initially imagined. On a warm evening in June, 2 years after their first meeting, Laura and Alex sat in her office reviewing the quarterly reports that showed record satisfaction scores across all Meridian financial properties. The improvements in both service quality and worker satisfaction had exceeded everyone's expectations, and several other management companies were requesting similar consulting services. "I have a proposition for you," Alex said, setting down the reports. "I'd like to offer you a partnership in a new venture. We're planning to launch a comprehensive property management consulting firm that would implement your systems on a national scale." Laura felt her pulse quicken at the unexpected offer. "What kind of partnership?" "Equal partnership. You'd maintain your current role at Meridian Financial, but you'd also serve as co-CEO of the new company. We'd provide the startup capital and business development support, and you contribute your expertise and methodology." Laura stared at Alex, trying to process the magnitude of what he was proposing. "Alex, I've been in management for less than 2 years. Are you sure you want to make me co-CEO of anything?" "Laura, you've revolutionized facilities management for every property in our portfolio. You've built a successful consulting practice from nothing. You're helping to reshape how we think about educational assistance through the foundation." Alex leaned forward earnestly. "You're not the same person who was afraid to accept the management position 2 years ago. It's time you started seeing yourself the way everyone else sees you." Laura thought about Maria Santos and the other foundation recipients who looked to her as an example of what was possible. She thought about Maya, who was learning from her mother's example that dreams weren't just fantasies but achievable goals. She thought about all the workers whose lives had been improved by management systems that treated them with dignity and respect. "If I say yes to this partnership," Laura said slowly, "I want to make sure we're building something that creates opportunities for other people the way you created opportunities for me." Alex smiled, the same warm expression she remembered from their late-night conversations 2 years earlier. "I wouldn't expect anything less from you. That's exactly why I want you as a partner." As summer turned to autumn, Laura found herself preparing for the launch of their new company while continuing to oversee the foundation's expanding programs. Maya started her 3rd year at Riverside Academy with plans to graduate early and begin college at 16, a goal that would have seemed impossible just 3 years earlier. The new company, Martinez Gen Management Solutions, officially launched in October, with contracts already in place across 12 states. Laura's role as co-CEO required her to travel more than she ever had before, but the work was deeply satisfying as she watched her management philosophy take root in organizations nationwide. During one particularly successful client presentation in Chicago, Laura found herself thinking about the night she had shared pizza with a quiet teenager she thought was just killing time in an empty office building. The woman delivering this presentation to Fortune 500 executives bore little resemblance to the exhausted night janitor who had worried about wasting leftover food. But the core values remained the same: treating every person with dignity, taking pride in work regardless of who was watching, and believing that small acts of kindness could have profound consequences. On the flight home from Chicago, Laura drafted an email to Alex, sharing her thoughts about how far they had both come since that first night. She wrote about her gratitude for his willingness to take risks on people others might overlook, and about her commitment to using their partnership to create similar opportunities for others. Alex's response came within hours. "Laura, that night you shared pizza with me. You gave me something I didn't even know I was looking for. You showed me what authentic leadership looks like. Everything we've built together since then has been possible because you taught me that the best way to lead is to serve others first. Thank you for continuing to be my teacher and my friend." As Laura read Alex's message, she realized that their story had become something neither of them could have predicted that first night. What had begun as a simple act of sharing food with a hungry stranger had evolved into a partnership that was creating opportunities for hundreds of people across the country. Maya, now 10 years old and thriving in her advanced academic program, often asked her mother about the lessons she had learned from building their new life. Laura always returned to the same fundamental truth: kindness is never wasted, even when you can't see its immediate impact. "The most important thing to remember," Laura told Maya one evening as they worked together on homework, "is that how you treat people when you think nobody important is watching tells you everything you need to know about your own character." Maya nodded solemnly, already demonstrating the same natural empathy that had motivated Laura to share pizza with a lonely teenager 2 years earlier. And you never know who might be watching, or how much they might need exactly what you're able to give. Laura smiled, recognizing her own words reflected back to her with the wisdom that comes from watching kindness create ripple effects that extend far beyond the original gesture. The scared single mother who had once worried about making ends meet had been replaced by a confident business leader, but the heart that had prompted her to share her food with a stranger remained unchanged. As winter approached, marking the third anniversary of their first meeting, Laura and Alex continued to expand both their business partnership and their foundation work. The consulting company was thriving, with clients reporting significant improvements in both operational efficiency and employee satisfaction. The foundation had supported over 200 students, with alumni beginning to give back to future recipients through mentorship and financial contributions. Maya's academic performance continued to exceed expectations, with university representatives already expressing interest in her potential applications despite her young age. Her research on urban wildlife conservation had evolved into a comprehensive project that was drawing attention from environmental organizations across the region. On the anniversary of their first meeting, Alex surprised Laura by arranging for the entire foundation board to meet in the same conference room where she had first learned about the opportunities being offered to her and Maya. The room had been decorated with photographs from foundation events, client success stories, and employee recognition ceremonies. 3 years ago, in this room, we took a chance on each other, Alex said as the board meeting concluded. Laura, you taught me that the best investments are in people who have already proven their character through their actions. You've shown me what it means to lead with both competence and compassion. Laura looked around the room at the faces of board members who had become colleagues and friends, at the photographs documenting lives changed through their programs, at Maya who had joined them for the anniversary. Celebration. Alex, you gave me the opportunity to discover capabilities I didn't know I had. But more than that, you showed me that success isn't just about achieving your own goals, it's about creating pathways for others to achieve theirs. As the celebration continued, Laura found herself thinking about all the people whose lives had been touched by the simple decision to share leftover pizza with a hungry teenager. Maria Santos, now thriving in her nursing program. The dozens of other foundation recipients pursuing their dreams with comprehensive support. The thousands of workers whose jobs had been improved through management systems that prioritize dignity and respect. The story that had begun with a tired single mother offering food to a stranger had become something much larger. A testament to the power of kindness to create opportunities, the importance of seeing potential in unexpected places, and the truth that authentic leadership begins with genuine care for others. Maya, now comfortable in the company of successful adults and articulate about her own goals and values, raised her hand during the informal Q session that followed the formal board meeting. I wanted to say something about what this foundation means to families like mine, Maya said with the confidence of someone who had learned to value her own voice. When my mom shared pizza with Mr. Alex, she was just being kind to someone she thought needed help. But because of that kindness, I get to pursue dreams that seemed impossible before. The most important thing I've learned is that you should always be kind to people, not because of what they can do for you, but because of what you can do for them. The room erupted in applause, and Laura felt tears of pride and gratitude welling up in her eyes. Her daughter had not only benefited from the opportunities created by that first meeting, but had internalized the values that made those opportunities possible. As the anniversary celebration wound down, Alex walked Laura and Maya to their car, a ritual that had become comfortable over the years of their friendship and partnership. Maya, Alex said, I want you to know that your mom didn't just share pizza with me that night. She shared wisdom about treating people with dignity, about taking pride in your work, and about the importance of kindness. Those lessons have shaped everything we've built together. Maya smiled up at Alex with the easy affection she had developed for the man who had become a central figure in their lives. Mr. Alex, my mom always says that the best way to thank someone for helping you is to help someone else. That's what we're all doing now, right? Alex nodded, clearly moved by Maya's understanding of the cycle of generosity and support that had become central to their shared mission. That's exactly what we're doing, Maya, and that's exactly what your mom taught me to do. As Laura drove home that evening, she reflected on the journey that had brought them to this moment. The scared, exhausted woman who had once cleaned offices in the middle of the night had discovered reserves of strength, intelligence, and leadership she never knew she possessed. The quiet teenager who had been carrying the weight of inheriting his father's business had learned to lead with authenticity and compassion. But perhaps most importantly, they had both learned that the most meaningful success comes not from individual achievement, but from creating opportunities for others to discover their own potential. The pizza they had shared 3 years earlier had been just 2 slices of leftover food, but the kindness behind that gesture had multiplied into something that continued to change lives. Maya fell asleep in the car on the way home, exhausted from the excitement of the anniversary celebration. As Laura carried her sleeping daughter into the house, she whispered a quiet thank you to the universe for the series of small miracles that had transformed their lives. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities, but tonight she was simply grateful for the reminder that kindness, once shared, has the power to create ripples that extend far beyond anything we can imagine when we first decide to open our hearts to a stranger in need.